Love conquers all. Dawn broke over the Iron Fang sanctuary like a blade of light, illuminating the ancient stone circle where challenges had been decided for generations. The entire pack had gathered, their faces tense with anticipation and fear. Gideon stood in the center of the circle, his sword gleaming in the morning light. Across from him, Cashin smiled coldly, his own blade already drawn. Last chance to yield, Gideon, Cashin called out. Give me the Black Wolf, and I'll let you live in exile. Never, Gideon replied, his voice carrying to every corner of the circle. Norah watched from the sidelines, her heart hammering against her ribs. Mara stood beside her, offering what comfort she could. He's strong, Mara whispered. But Cashin fights dirty. The two alphas circled each other, their movements predatory and precise. When they clashed, the ring of steel on steel echoed through the sanctuary. Gideon was skilled, but Cashin was desperate for power, and desperation made him reckless. As the battle raged, Norah felt something stirring in her mother's journal, which she clutched against her chest. The pages grew warm, and suddenly she understood. The grove, she breathed. It's not a place, it's a state of being. Without thinking, she stepped into the circle, her voice rising above the clash of swords. Stop. Both men froze, their blades locked together. The pack gasped at her audacity. The ritual, Norah said, her voice strong and clear. I know what it means now. She opened her mother's journal to the final page, where words had appeared in shimmering silver ink, words that hadn't been there before. When the Black Wolf and the true Alpha choose love over fear, when they trust each other with their very souls, the prophecy breaks, she read. Not through death, but through unity. Cashin snarled, raising his sword toward her. Witch. You'll not bewitch us with your tricks. But as he lunged toward Norah, Gideon moved faster than thought, his blade finding its mark. Cashin fell, his eyes wide with shock before they closed forever. It's over, Gideon said, his voice heavy with the weight of leadership. But Norah shook her head. Not yet. She walked to the center of the circle, her hand extended toward Gideon. The ritual requires a choice. You have to choose me, knowing what I am, knowing the risk. And I have to choose you, knowing I'm trusting you with the life of the last Black Wolf. The pack watched in stunned silence as Gideon took her hand. The moment their skin touched, silver light erupted around them, swirling like moonbeams made manifest. I choose you, Norah Vale, Gideon said, his voice ringing with truth. Black Wolf, mate, whatever you are, I choose you. And I choose you, Gideon Blackthorne, Norah replied, tears streaming down her face. Alpha, protector, the other half of my soul. The light grew brighter, washing over the entire pack. When it faded, something fundamental had changed. The hostility that had poisoned the air was gone, replaced by understanding and acceptance. The prophecy, Mara whispered in wonder. It's broken. Torin, the scarred warrior who had once demanded Norah's death, stepped forward and knelt. Forgive us, Luna, he said, using the title for an Alpha's mate. We were blinded by fear. One by one, the pack members knelt, acknowledging Norah not as a threat, but as their new Luna. 6 months later, the Iron Fang pack had become a sanctuary not just for wolves, but for all supernatural beings seeking refuge. Norah had embraced her role as Luna, using her unique abilities to heal both bodies and the rifts between different supernatural communities. She stood in the library where she'd first discovered her mother's journal, now expanded with new knowledge she was carefully documenting for future generations. Any regrets? Gideon asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Norah leaned back against his chest, feeling completely at peace for the first time in her life. Only that it took so long to find you. We found each other when we were meant to, Gideon murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. The moon goddess has her own timing. Outside, the full moon rose over the Iron Fang sanctuary, but for the first time in her life, Norah felt no restless itch beneath her skin. She had found her place, her purpose, and her heart's true home. The last black wolf was no longer alone. She was exactly where she belonged, in the arms of the Alpha who had chosen love over fear, trust over suspicion, and hope over despair. As the moonlight streamed through the library windows, Norah smiled, knowing that their love story was just beginning. The prophecy that had once threatened to destroy them had instead brought them together, proving that sometimes the greatest magic of all is the courage to love against all odds. The end.